Mike Klis, and he's with us every Thursday at 1:15. We always appreciate making the time for us, Mike, and we want to jump right into your time out there in Florida and what you learned. And we've talked a lot today about George Payton, talking about running backs in rounds 2 through 6. So we know this thing is deep. We've talked to you about that. So is he just acknowledging the depth of the draft, trying to throw some people off the scent of what they might do at 20? What do you think George was doing with those comments?
Yeah, ordinarily, it's just a running back position in general. I'm not sure the Broncos value the running back necessarily, unless you get the top guy. I mean, Ashton Genty, obviously, but you're not going to get him. And then after that, it's kind of the pick of the litter. You know, there's 5 or 6 up for debate for number 2.
Sure.
O'Marion Hampton is probably the leader in the clubhouse for number 2, but it's not necessarily the best fit for the Broncos and Shawn Payton. So I wouldn't be surprised if they traded back from 20 and took a running back at, say, 26, 27. Maybe they feel like 20 is a little too high for the value of a running back. I don't think they're done. I don't think they've made their decision. I think they do have backs that they like, but not sure number 20. Ordinarily, 20 is still high enough where you want to take one of those top 4 premium positions. Really, the only one, they don't need a quarterback. They don't need left tackle. They could use an edge rusher, but I'm not sure the edge rushers, the first-round edge rushers, are going to be there. I think there's 3 or 4 first-round edge rushers. They'll be gone by number 20.
Yeah.
So they're kind of caught in a little bit in between. Seems like the sweet spot here might be a little bit behind them, and so maybe they pick up an extra pick and in the 3rd round and try to trade back. I don't know, but they're going to end up with a running back, I think, within the first 2 rounds. Just a matter of whether they take one at 20.
Well, we know that George Payton loves the more darts theory, so there's more darts if they do trade back. Howie Roseman's probably calling right now. But, Mike, how was the vibe for Shawn Payton? Because last year, of course, trying to find a quarterback, I'm not saying there was an air of desperation, but you had to find a quarterback. Was Shawn more a relaxed vibe? Did he give you a little bit more? Did he give you less because of, they got their quarterback position solved?
He was relaxed. I'll tell you a little. I talked to somebody at the owners' meetings, and he said, "Here's who the Broncos are going to take at number 20." And he said, "Shawn Payton's going to watch film real closely, intently, here the next 2 or 3 weeks. He's going to fall in love with one of those players. And he's going to tell George Payton, I need that guy." and that's going to be the number 1 pick. That's going to be the first-round pick for the Broncos.
Yep.
And it does make sense. I mean, that's how it's kind of operated here. Remember last year he said, I got to have Troy Franklin. He said that going into after round 2. After
he called George at like
draft.
6:30 in the morning or something.
Yeah.
About Troy Franklin.
Well, yeah. He said something, I think, in the parking lot about midnight going home. and so that's how, Shawn, and I believe that, don't you? I mean, Shawn Payton is going to decide what running back he wants because it's his offense. He should.
Yeah.
And then George is going to do all the behind-the-scenes works to figure out if that guy's there, how to get him, what he has to do to get him. Maybe they can trade back to get him, George's intel. So that's why they, all this talk about, how George Payton survived a couple of years ago. He works well with Shawn Payton.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key to this Broncos operation. They picked the right one last year in Bo Nix and see if they can do a running back this year.
We are talking with our buddy Mike Klis. He's with us on the Johnson Auto Plaza hotline. Mike, a couple of the rule changes with the kickoff stuff. That's got to be an advantage Denver Broncos, right? You get a guy like Marvin Mims who had, 7 opportunities to return a kick last year. That's going to be a much bigger number. Does it affect his availability at all at wide receiver with more workload on special teams, or is it just the same? He's going to just get more opportunities to be a special teams returner and just as much opportunity to be a wide receiver.
By the way, where does this stop? I mean, are we eventually going to put the ball at the 50? I mean, Peyton Manning in 2013, the touchback was put out to the 20. Now you're putting the touchback out to the 35. I mean, that is a major, major difference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just can't compare errors offensively anymore. And we'll see how it works out. 35 seems a little ridiculous, but yeah, I do think you're going to wind up with more returns for Marvin Mims. I do think that extra 5 years is going to be a deterrent on touchbacks. Not when the game's on the line. I would be surprised if in the fourth quarter, for instance, if the game's tight. I'm still thinking that teams are going to take the touchback option, but there will be more for sure returns for Marvin Mims. And yeah, they spell him anyway. He returns enough on punt returns and kickoff returns where he's not a 60% playtime receiver. He's not a 60% playtime running back. It's one of those things. If he has a 40-yard return on a kickoff, he's going to get the first couple plays off on offense.
Mike, what's your feel? Even with Evan Ingram, does this team take a tight end in the draft? First 3-4 rounds, whatever.
Yeah, I know they would. They still want to get a joker type to develop. They brought in Gunnar Helm. They brought in Terrence Ferguson. And
sure.
If they can get one of those guys in the third or fourth rounds, it doesn't mean they will get them because they might have other players and other needs. But, yeah, they're going in there with the idea of getting a tight end, a joker, in the third or fourth round. Doesn't mean they'll get them just because of the way the board falls. But ideally, they would, because Ingram's really – I mean, he does have $5 million guaranteed in year two, so that is a pretty decent commitment to year two. But, he's still coming off injury. He's still up there. I think he's 31. So, if Shawn Payton values that position, you want to have a backup.
All right, Mike, and lastly, it's opening. I know you're a baseball guy, right? Tomorrow's the Rockies home opener. It's going to be
should come see us
40
tomorrow.
degrees and raining. What are you going to do for opening day?
Yeah, I'm covering it. I'm going to be there.
Nice.
Whoa.
Yeah. I cover the home opener for the Rockies every year, so it's kind of like the one assignment where I veer from the Broncos with 9 News.
All right.
And, I covered the Rockies for, I think, 12 and a half years. And I still know that it's 4 balls for a walk and three strikes for a strikeout. The game has changed since I stopped covering it in 2005. This launch angle and Moneyball changed everything for the worse, by the way. And but I still enjoy it. And Coors Field's great, even though it's not going to be necessarily baseball weather tomorrow.
Yep.
Right. Are you a Peanuts or a Cracker Jack guy, or both?
Peanuts or Cracker Jack? You got a crack? I guess at the ballpark, I prefer I'm not big on cracking the shells.
Oh, all right.
Okay. I can do 5 or 6, and then I get tired of it. Too much work. It's just like I'm not a crab guy. I don't eat crabs.
Yeah, right.
I'm with you on the crab.
Yeah. You
I'm
break
with you
all
on
that for a little bit of meat?
Uh-huh.
What?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
We got to hang out with this guy. We got to party with you, Mike Klis.
We do.
Yeah. Basically, I'm just a hot dog guy.
Can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We'll be over at El Patio. If you get bored, come by and say hi, man. We'd love to see you on a little Rockies opening day.
I'll see if I can make it.
All right, Mike. Always appreciate your time on Thursdays, man. Keep up the great work. We'll follow along on Twitter and watch on 9 News.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Mike Klis right there on the Johnson Auto Plaza hotline. He's at Mike Klis 9 News on the Twitter machine. Check him out and read his work right there. Interesting conversation about the running back position and the Broncos.